Video opens with a high-contrast, black and white digital art style. The camera slowly pushes in on a detailed, unsettling illustration of a medieval city street, dark and grimy. A lone, flickering torch casts long, dancing shadows. The sound of distant, echoing whispers and the faint scratching of claws can be heard. In the darkest corners of human history, where shadows cling to forgotten truths and superstition bleeds into reality, there exist phenomena so grotesque, so profoundly unnatural, that they defy simple explanation. These are not tales spun from pure fantasy, but echoes of real, documented horrors that once stalked our world. We speak of omens, of portents whispered in hushed tones, of signs that the natural order has been fractured, heralding an age of despair and death. Tonight, we unearth one such harbinger of doom, a biological anomaly so nightmarish it was believed to be a creature, spun from the very bowels of hell, a twisted, writhing crown worn by pestilence itself. This is the true, terrifying story of the Rat King. The image transitions to a close-up of a tangled mass of rats, their tails knotted together in a gruesome Gordian knot. The illustration is stark, emphasizing the skeletal thinness of the creatures and their desperate, open-mouthed expressions. The sound of squealing and chittering grows louder, then abruptly cuts to silence. Imagine the year 1564 in the German town of Wertheim. The air is thick with the scent of wood smoke, open sewers, and a pervasive, creeping fear. The Black Death is not a distant memory, it is a living, breathing monster that slumbers fitfully between outbreaks. A constant threat lurking just beyond the city walls. A miller, going about his daily toil, makes a discovery that freezes the blood in his veins. In a dusty corner of his mill, he finds a knot of several rats, their tails inextricably intertwined, fused together by a mixture of blood, excrement, and time. The creatures are a single, struggling entity, a writhing mass of fur and bone, doomed to a shared, agonizing existence. This was one of the first documented cases of what would come to be known as the asterisk, the Rat King. The discovery was not treated as a mere curiosity. To the medieval mind, steeped in symbolism and divine wrath, this was no accident of nature. It was a sign. The rat, already a reviled symbol of filth, disease, and the relentless march of the plague, had manifested in a new, horrifying form. A king had been crowned among the vermin, a sovereign of squalor and sickness. The logic was terrifyingly simple. If the common rat brought plague, what unimaginable pestilence would its king unleash upon mankind? The appearance of a Rat King was seen as an unequivocal omen, a divine warning that a wave of death was imminent. The fear was not just of the grotesque object itself, but of the catastrophic future it foretold. It was as if nature itself was screaming a prophecy of suffering, forming a living sigil of the apocalypse from the bodies of its most despised creatures. The visual shifts to a stark, shadowy depiction of a 17th century plague doctor, their beaked mask a haunting silhouette against a sickly yellow sky. The sound of a slow, tolling bell begins to fade in. As centuries passed, the legend only grew, fed by sporadic, horrifying discoveries across Europe. Each new specimen, unearthed from the cellars, attics, and forgotten spaces of human civilization, reinforced the superstition. In 1683, another was found in Strasbourg, a city with a long and traumatic history of pestilence and mass hysteria. Then, in 1748, a particularly large specimen was discovered, again in a miller's home, this time in Buckheim. This grotesque throne, comprised of 18 individual rats, was preserved. Each tangled form a testament to the enduring horror of the phenomenon. These were not isolated incidents, but a recurring nightmare, each appearance dredging up ancestral fears of their plague that had decimated a third of Europe's population. The chronicles of the times speak of the findings with a mixture of scientific curiosity and profound dread. The Rat King became a fixture of European folklore, a tangible monster in a world already crowded with demons and specters. It was the physical embodiment of a collective trauma, a grotesque sculpture molded by disease and despair. The horror of the Rat King lies not only in its appearance, but in the mechanics of its creation, and the unimaginable suffering it implies. The most accepted theory posits that the knot begins in the cramped, filthy confines of a winter nest. A group of black rats, or Astratus ratus, known for their long, flexible tails, huddled together for warmth. In the darkness, their tails become slick with grease, dirt, or sticky substances like sap or food residue. Through their constant movement, the tails become entangled. Panic ensues. The more the rats struggle to break free, the tighter the knot becomes. It is a fatal biological feedback loop. Bone can break and reheal within the knot. Flesh can grow around adjacent tails, and the whole mass becomes permanently fused into a single, composite organism. The camera pans across a detailed, cross-section view of the knotted tails, illustrated in a style reminiscent of an old anatomical drawing. The lines are precise, clinical, yet deeply unsettling. We see bones, sinew, and dried blood. Contemplate the existence of such a creature. It cannot hunt effectively. It cannot flee from predators. It is a prisoner of its own collective body. Survival depends entirely on the group's ability to drag its shared, cumbersome form towards any available food source, or perhaps on other, free rats bringing them sustenance out of a bizarre, distorted social instinct. Each individual is bound to the fate of the others, sharing a singular, agonizing existence. They are born as individuals, but are doomed to die as one. This agonizing process, a slow descent into a shared hell, is what elevates the Rat King from a simple biological curiosity to a true figure of body horror. It represents a loss of autonomy so complete, so absolute, that it resonates with our deepest existential fears. The individual is consumed by the collective, not through will, but through a gruesome, tangled fate. The scene changes to a more modern setting, perhaps a sterile museum display case. Inside, a preserved Rat King specimen is shown. The lighting is harsh, casting sharp shadows that accentuate its gnarled, mummified form. The sound is now a low, electronic hum, punctuated by the faint, distorted sound of a human heartbeat. For a long time, many relegated the Rat King to the realm of myth, a tall tale spun by superstitious medieval peasants. Some proposed they were elaborate hoaxes created by pranksters who would tie dead rats together to frighten their neighbors. And indeed, some likely were. Yet, the existence of preserved specimens, such as the one found in 1828 in Altenburg, Germany, a mummified mass of 32 rats, now the most famous example, housed in the Mauritian Museum, challenges outright dismissal. Modern analysis of these specimens has confirmed that the knots are often organic, with callous tissue and healed bone fractures indicating that the animals lived in this state for some time. The debate continues, but the evidence points towards a horrifyingly real, albeit exceedingly rare, natural phenomenon. The Rat King's cultural legacy is as tangled as its tale. It has transcended historical accounts to become a powerful motif in horror and fantasy. It appears as a malevolent entity, a literal king of vermin commanding legions of rats, a hive-mind intelligence born of filth and decay. From the dark folklore of the Brothers Grimm to the surrealist horror of modern literature and video games, the Rat King serves as a potent symbol of corruption, of unity forged through sickness and suffering. It represents the grotesque inversion of a kingdom, a crown of thorns woven from flesh and bone. The horror is not just visual, it is psychological. It speaks to a fear of contagion, of losing control, and of the hidden, monstrous possibilities that lurk just beneath the surface of the natural world. It reminds us that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are not born of fantasy, but are discovered in the dark, forgotten corners of our own reality, waiting to be found. A true horror story, written in the flesh of the creatures that thrive in our shadows. Final shot pulled back from the museum specimen. The image slowly losing color and contrast until it once again resembles the stark, black and white digital art from the beginning. The low hum fades, replaced by the faint, returning sound of scratching claws and distant whispers. Thank you for venturing into the shadows with us. If you appreciate these journeys into the abyss of history, consider subscribing to our channel. Your support allows us to continue unearthing these forgotten horrors. Join the conversation in the comments below. What other historical horrors or dark legends do you want to see us explore? Like this video and share it with those who are not afraid to look into the dark. Until next time, be wary of what stirs in the darkness.